This is the grand final, Gambit versus Fnatic.
Gambit and Fnatic are all teams, but we have a new lineups. Let's see how it clashes. I think he's the best in European, and it's like a really smart player by himself.
Rainover, he's soloed the mid lane, he's picked up a double!
He's the most hardest jungler to play against.
From season 2 or 3, I was his fanboy.
Vander face tanks it, he's going down to Diamond procs.
Because he creates meta, and then like he was the father of the jungle.
First blood goes to Reckless, and that's 2 kills. He's back for Fnatic, and he's already on the board.
I think he's a good player. Every guy wants to play at some point for a Fnatic because how good the team is.
He's a really good player, and he's always been sort of one step ahead of me.
Forgiven, blood, he's selling, he smells it up, and he grabs the kill.
I want to, for once, show that I'm at least equally good or even better, but that requires a lot of hard work, and I'm up for the challenge.
Hello and welcome to Day 2, Week 2 of the European League Championship Series Summer Split. We're bringing our coverage to you live from the LCS studio in Berlin, Germany. As you can see, we have a full house here for our 5 games. And there, the crowd have brought their signs in. They're cheering for all the teams who are getting into the action today. Here is Fnatic entering the building just a couple of minutes ago. Febiven there. Rainover, as praised by Diamond just a minute ago. Cabo Shard setting up, looking to find that very first victory for Gambit. So important, this matchup for them here today. They're forgiven as well. I'm Evie Shock-supporter, gearing up for today's matches with the help of Mitch Krepo Voorspoels and Trevor Quickshot Henry. Yeah, Krepo's got his party tie on, so we're in for a whole heap of fun. And at the halfway point in Week 2, we're going to look at how the teams stack up and take a look at the standings. Still at the top of the table, OG and Fnatic riding high at 3-0. Then the Giants, H2K, and Unicorns of Love tied in third at 2-1. And well, I'd like to take a closer look at those Giants because we all kind of feel like they have made a visible improvement in their team in the last couple of weeks.
I completely agree. They did make a change coming into the summer split. They, swapped out Rydell for Godfred. And while Godfred had a shaky start, games 2 and 3 have been significantly better. His Dark Bindings yesterday were fantastic. As a team, Giants just seem a little bit more all together. I do want to take note, though, they are playing against teams who have been struggling in the summer splits, so you could argue they're beating teams that will be in the bottom half of the table, but they're still picking up those wins. And a lot of it, I think, is on the fact that Audrey stepped up, Frederick stepped up, and Werlib in particular on that Maokai had a great game yesterday.
Great game from all of them, team-wise and individually. At the bottom of the table, though, SK and Gambit still no win and in dire straits, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know about their music choice or music preference there, but looking at those teams, both have one thing in common, and that is Forgiven. Is X Team 03 his new Team 03? Is he the common link, or is it just, happens to be?
I don't know what it'll be.
Luck.
We'll have to find out. The one thing I do want to remind everybody, Gambit went 0-5 in Spring Split and then bounced back 7-0. So maybe they still need more games, but the problem is there's only 18 games in the season, and this is the one that gets you as close to Worlds as you can get.
Yeah, fans, hang in there. Maybe 2 more losses and they're up the upswing. Someone who's definitely on the upswing, OG and Fnatic. There's not a lot to say about it. They are just playing incredibly well.
Week 4.
Week 4.
Week 4. If these two teams keep winning, Week 4 is when they go head-to-head, and that's when one of them will pick up a guaranteed loss. But it's definitely going to be a hyped-up matchup. That'll be our match of the week for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yesterday we also saw the return of the Rogue Mage to Summoner's Rift after his rework and release way back on patch 5.8. And for more on Ryze's resurgence in the top lane, we're going to check in with Stress at the Telestrator.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Now, it's been 24 hours since Ryze re-emerged in the EU meta, and I've been jumping in and out of spectating solo queue games, and we figured we'd give you a little bit of help if you haven't quite caught up with the curve from Huni and Visit Chachi. So, Ryze yesterday, 100% pick ban, picked in 2, banned in 3 games, and it's all because of changes that came in the 5.8 and 5.10 patches. Ryze's role and damage output has completely changed, so we really wanted to kind of update you guys guys on where Rise is right now. The first question to ask, though, is how was he pre-changes, so that we can keep in mind the differences. So pre-changes, Rise, you'd used to max Q. You'd max that overload, get a lot of damage, but as well build the stacking items of the Seraph's Embrace and the Rod of Ages. After that, you tend to go tanky, and then in team fights just absorb a lot of damage while taking people out with sustained damage in return. However, Rise has completely changed now, as we saw in yesterday's games, and with the reworked Rise, it's all due to his different passive, his changed passive now with the Arcane Mastery. You want to go to the supercharged state, which is after you get 5 stacks of Arcane Mastery, and that means that every time you cast a spell, the cooldown of your other spells will be reduced by approximately 4 seconds. It's all linked in with the cooldown of Overcharge itself. The change in 5.10 is that now lasts 6 seconds at all ranks. So you're not maxing Overcharge anymore, you're maxing Rune Prison, the W skill, and that adds extra root duration to Rise's kit. Build order has changed as well. Take a look here, still got the Stacking Seraph, still got the Rod of Ages, but the last few items, you want to go for magic penetration and more AP. We even saw Huni go for a man, wow, that's Luden's Echo. Thank you very much from the analyst desk over there. Man, new item for Season 5, and completely blanked on it there. That's how different it was from Huni, actually. But for Huni, we want to take a look at just how he dominated Steve in the game yesterday against Roccat. So we're going to take a look at some of the in-game footage now. And when we get that up onto the telestrator, you can see, I want you to keep a track of the rune prisons here coming out from Huni and just how many he's getting onto Steve. And it's all because of the fast rotations on his abilities. He's throwing out a Q, throwing out an E in between every rune prison, always getting it when it's on cooldown. Now, level 9's a bit of a power spike for Rise. When he reaches level 9, he gets the root duration all the way up to 1.75 seconds. And that can happen about every 2 seconds for Rise. And you can see Steve just absolutely had no escape at all whatsoever. When you get to the later game with Rise, his role in teamfights becomes a lot more similar to a Cassiopeia, a little bit different, a lot of sustained damage. The trade-off for that is you get a lot of single target crowd control, but you're a lot squishier on Rise. Now, if you want to play Rise yourself, check out Runes and Masteries on lolesports.com's extended match histories for the full setups for Huni and Vizicachi. But I'm sure we'll be seeing Rise today. If not in picks, then certainly in the bans. Back to you guys at the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Stress. Well, Rise did very good against me with Luden's Echo as well, and I just wanted to block it out. I guess that's what happened to Stress as well. Thank you for that breakdown. We're looking forward to today's matches and see if Rise will appear. We'll be starting things off as Gambit looks to secure their very first win versus Fnatic. We have the Unicorns of Love versus Roccat, H2K versus Elements, another 5 games to see how the standings evolve. And our last game of the day will be OG taking on the Copenhagen Wolves. Before we get into today's first game, though, we want to reach out to you. Tweet at LL Esports and tell us who is the most underrated team in Europe so far this summer and why?
I want to answer this one because I think Gambit are a little bit underrated. I think as a team, they're not performing to the level that they should be. And I do actually expect them to start picking up more wins as the season rolls on.
I think both Gambit and SK have shown glimmers of hope, have shown signs of brilliance where they had decent games and almost got the victory, but they just fell short at the end. There was always that one step missing, and I'm looking forward to see if these teams can take that final step and finally get a victory on the board.
We will see. Well, we want to know what you guys think as well. So as always, send in your responses at LOL Esports and include that hashtag LCS. And now we're going to dial in on our very first match of the day between Gambit Gaming and Fnatic. As said, Gambit still looking for their very first win of the summer. And with their lineup, of course, Cabo Shard, Diamond Prox, Betsy, Forgiven, Gosu Pepper, and their coach, Shawn. They are up against Fnatic. Fnatic is 3-0 so far, so not an easy feat for Gambit to get into this one. Let's take a look at the lineup for Fnatic on the red side. Huni, Rainover, Febevin, Reckless, Yellow Star, and their coach, Daylor.
Yeah, Fnatic right now, they're 3-0 and Gambit's 0-3. That's the biggest discrepancy you could possibly have at this point in the LCS. That means Gambit is like an animal trapped in the corner. They need that win, and Fnatic, they will have to be careful because when you have an animal in the corner, they get unpredictable. And yeah, exactly. Like you just did off camera. Camera, why didn't you catch doing that? She was gonna get away with it if it wasn't for the meddling Crepo. But my point is what I'm gonna make is Gambit, when they get unpredictable, they're an incredibly tough team to play against because they can always get back on top. Every time in history, people have written off Gambit, whether it was LCS or IEM, somehow they managed to come back. So I'm not ready to say that this is gonna be an easy victory for Fnatic just yet.
Yeah, nobody puts Gambit in the corner. But before we share some more thoughts on this matchup, we're going to hear what Reckless thinks his lane opponent can improve to be the best in the league.
I think Forgiven's strongest side towards in comparison to other ADs is just his confidence in a way that when he plays, he never hesitates. He also has incredible mechanics, and I think his only weakness is really his champion pool and maybe the fact that his gameplay is so centered around him winning his lane. I think if he kind of dropped that idea a bit and then used his strength in maybe his rotation game or something like this and learned a couple of more champions, he could be for sure the best player we have here.
Well, perhaps Forgiven has taken that advice from his opponent. After that Lucian in the first game, he did try out Ashe. He did go for Ezreal on the Rift, so there is an adaptation coming in.
There is a little bit of adaptation, but I don't know if it's enough, because that adaptation is great to see from Forgiven as an individual player, but it needs to be applied to the rest of the team. When I saw the Ashe locked in, I got excited, expecting these pinpoint sniper accuracy, Ashe arrows from across the map, but every single one of them needed to be a Hail Mary, let me save Gambit, because the whole team started falling behind. So I think for a player like Forgiven, I'm excited he's playing new champions. I'm a little less excited that the team is not playing around him and those champions because of how strong a player is. It's MVP of the Spring Split.
I just want to see Forgiven on champions with gap closers. His major strength is his mechanics and the fact that he almost reactively dodges skill shots all the time instead of doing it predictively. He is so quick on his feet, and I want to see him use those gap closers both offensively and defensively. And I was a little disappointed on his performance on Ashe. It was too stagnant, too immobile of a pick, and he got punished for it very hard.
Yeah, moving away from his pick specifically, just the draft for Gambit yesterday, that was maybe the most dramatic we've seen so far. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, Fnatic has adapted so well yesterday. The Rise immediately in the mix, immediately showing what they can do, so that is an extra difficulty for Gambit as well.
Definitely going to be the case. We saw how powerful that pick can be. And then also just the question marks. Gragas was locked in fairly early for Gambit. They put it top lane in Cabochard's hands. And I like Cabochard as a player. He's mechanically fantastic. And coming up against Huni today, it's going to be a fun matchup to watch. But I'd like to see him on a more meta pick. Give Diamond Gragas, although we know he's trending towards Volibear for the time being. So I think there's some big question marks on how Gambit will respond to the threats that Fnatic are going to put on the field.
Yeah, indeed, it will be a tall order for Cabochard as well. Huni yesterday, 80% kill participation. Rather, we saw him going up against Steve and just doing incredibly well. And it's kind of like Huni is already this good, and now he has another pick that he can work with.
I just was very impressed with how resilient Huni was. He was down 0-2, opted for the blasting one before he chose to go for more defensive items. He realized in that situation, either I get a kill right now and come back in the game, or I'm out anyways. He got that kill, and all you need to give Huni is one kill, and he starts rolling in. Fantastic performance so far in this split. And yeah, who's going to stop Huni?
We will see. Will it be Gambit in this one? We're going to get some insider insight into Gambit's gaming start to the season and check in with Pyrotechnics, who's standing by with the newest member of their organization.